So a graphical application shows information inside a frame, right? What is a frame? A frame is a window with a title bar. The situation is like this. Okay, you can think the striped area is called frame. Striped area is called frame. Right? Okay. Have some title, right?
Yeah.
Have some title. Generally, you can think about a photo frame, right? So a photo frame is there, and inside the photo frame, we place a photograph. Information is displayed. And generally in the photo frame, we write information over here, title over here, title over here. But in generally in Windows, we write title over here, right? This is a title of frame. You can think that one note, this whole thing is a frame. This is the title, graphical user, sorry. This graphical user interface -1 note is a title. Fine.
Yeah.
Is a title. Okay. So title of the frame is that. So let me show you how to design a frame. You have to use there's a class in Java called JFrame. JFrame, right? So you need to create the object of JFrame. JFrame. So you need to create the object of JFrame. Say for example, JFrame frame equal to new JFrame. So this is how we can create the frame object. Okay. Now we can we have to set the size of the frame also. Okay. So to set the size of the frame, we call the method called set size. Set size, right? And this method, to call this method, we have to use the frame object. Which frame object I want to set the size? So I have to write here frame dot set size. Okay, frame dot set size. Then what I have to do? I have to provide width and height, right? So I can provide here frame width and height and frame height. Okay, this is what we have to provide. So frame width and frame height both are basically a constant variable. Okay, so you can declare the constant variable. How to declare a constant variable? You have to use a keyword called final, right? Then int final int, and then you can write frame width, right? So you can write any value here, like whatever width you want. So you want width 400 and the height of the frame is say 500. So you can write this as frame height equal to say 500. Okay. So this height is 500. This height is 500. This height is 500. And this one is, so the frame will be 400 pixel wide and 500 pixel height, tall, right? Or tall. Okay. So if you forget to write this step, what will happen? If you forget to if we forget this step, 0 0 0 is 0, right? So it is not visible. So it is not visible. If you forget to do this step, if you forget to do all these steps, then the frame is not visible to you. Okay, but you can compose it, but it is not visible to you. Fine. So this is the step number 1. This is the step number 1, and this is the step number 2. Now step number 3. So frame have a title, right? So you can
Yeah.
write frame dot title, frame dot title dot you need to set, right? So set title, and you can write here. So this frame is empty, so you can write here an empty frame, empty frame. Okay, this is step number 3, right? So so if you omit this step, then what will happen? Your title is always your title is
Yeah.
the step number 4, right? Because when you execute this code, right, your code will keep on executing, right, evenly when you close the frame also. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to set the close operation. Okay, what when you close the frame, what will happen? Okay, so your program will exit. Fine. When you close the frame, your program will exit. So this is step number 4 you have to do. So you have to write frame dot set frame dot set default default close operation. Fine. So then you have to write here jframe dot exit on close. So this is the 4th step, right? So when user closes the frame, right, the
Yeah.
program automatically exits. So this is the 4th step. So when the program automatically exit, the program automatically exit. The program automatically exit. So this is step number 4. And step number 5 is I have to make the frame visible, right? To make the frame visible, what you have to do, you have to call, not display. There is a method called frame. You have to use the object name dot. What is the method? Because you have done loads of assignment like this. The name of the method is set visible. Set visible.
Okay.
Frame dot set visible. Okay. So this make the this is statement. This is the 5th step. These are the 5 steps you have to know to design a window, right? So this is a step, right? And I have to pass a value here. I have to pass a value here. So the value will be true. By default, the set visible is false, right? False means it is not visible. But when you set this flag true, then it will be visible. Okay. So this statement makes the frame visible. Okay. Make the frame visible. Make the frame visible. Make the frame visible, right? Okay. So now there is a question that key in which package JFrame is present. So JFrame is present in JFrame class is present in JFrame class is present in Java X dot swing package. There are 2 things taught in your syllabus. One is swing and another one is FX. Right. So I'm teaching you swing, and then later on I'll teach you for doing all these steps. Okay. So I can use BlueJ or I can use Eclipse. So I'm using Eclipse for this. Okay.
Yeah.
For doing this. So this is a test frame, and I need the main method. So finish.
सर 1 सेकंड आया.
And the last step is frame.setVisible. Yes, Vyom, I have written all the steps here. This is the step number 1. I have to create this step number 1, right?
Yeah.
Then this one, from here, the step number 2 starts, right? So this is
Yeah.
step 2. I have to this is step 2.
Yeah.
Step 2, right? And then this is step number 3. Oh, step number 3 is I have to set the title that I have not done.
Yeah.
So I have to write frame dot set title. So I've written here an empty frame. So this is step number 3. This is step number 3. Step 3 and step 2, step 3, and then this is step number 4. Step 4, right? And the last, this is step 5. So these are the 5 steps which we need to do whenever we are writing programs with frames, right?
Yeah.
So let's execute this 5 steps. So we got the frame here, right?
Yeah.
The frame here. So width is 400 and the height is 500, and you can see the title here, an empty frame, right? And you will get this Java symbol out there, and it contains a few options like move, size, minimize, maximize, and close, right?
Yeah.
So we can close this one. Okay. So this is how we can create the frame. Okay. So next option is that key on empty frame will not help us, right? So we need to add user interface components to a frame also. Okay. So how to do that? So such as buttons and text labels. So however, if you add components directly to the frame, they get placed on the top of each other. Fine.
Yeah.
So here we are going to use a concept called JPanel, right? So
Yeah.
so you can see a normal frame also, a normal photo frame. Photo is not directly pasted on the frame, right?
Yeah.
So what we do, we take one cardboard or any piece of wood, and that on that piece of wood we place the picture, and then we attach that cardboard to the frame, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that cardboard or that thing is called panel, right? That thing is called panel,
And
right? So here in Java FX, they are using the same concept, right? So they have a class called JPanel here, right? So they are saying that you use a JPanel group, use a JPanel to group of multiple user interface components together. Okay. So if you have more than one component, then put them into a panel, right?
yeah.
Okay, a container for other user interface component, then add the panel to the frame. Okay, so what we do, first we add all the components to the panel, and then we add the panel to the frame, right?
Yeah.
So this is the process. So let me show you. Let me write it down this. So if you have more than fine, and add the panel to the frame. If you have more than one components, then put them into a panel, a container for other user interface components, and add the panel to the frame, right? This is how we do it. Let me write down few lines of code. So select the NJ panel. jpanel. Say the name of the variable is panel equal to new jpanel, new jpanel, fine, panel dot panel dot add. Say you have button. Fine. So you are adding a button. Okay. Say you can add a label also the same way. You can add a label here. You can add a text box also, text field. Okay, so you can add text field, and you can add many things whatever you want to add. And after adding everything, what you do, you write here a command called frame, right? Frame dot add. There is another method in frame class, jframe class called add. Same type of method, frame dot add, and inside the add you can write panel. So your panel is added here. So here we can write panel is added. So panel. So you first construct the components, right? And after constructing the components, you can add the components to the panel, and then add the panel to the JFrame. That is the concept, right? So first we need to construct the component, then we can add the component to the panel, and then after that we can add the panel to the frame. Right? We are done with that one. Let me show you one example, a very simple example. So one thing I can do here, wait, let me complete this stuff. I can add this, code. And then I will add. So chalo, then I will do this. So what I have to do here, okay, I have to write here JFrame equal to new JFrame, Then I have to add. So I have to create the components, right? The component like J button. JFX and Java Swing is very much associated with each other. So if you are using Swing, then you have to use J button. But if you are using JFX, you have to use button, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So name of the classes are also very much similar. So if you are using Swing, then you have to use J button, like that of concept is there. J button, J label, right? But if you are using FX, this kind of J concept is not there. No.
Yeah.
You can use it directly. Button and you supply text for that button. So you write here, click on J label equal to new J label, and you can write down one information inside it. GUI is fun. GUI is fun. So I've added these two components, right, in my program. Then I will create JPanel. Okay, JPanel equal to panel equal to new. Then JPanel, new JPanel, and then what I have to do, I have to add the components. So I have to write here panel dot add, and the name of the component is button, the first one. Then again I have to write panel dot add component is label. So I added these two, and then what I will do, I will add it into the frame. Okay, so frame dot add And what I have to add in frame? Panel. So I will write here panel. Okay. So I've added into the panel. Now what I have to do? I have to set the size of the frame, right?
Yeah.
So let me copy it from here. Test frame. I can copy it from here. So I set up the panel, right? So I have set up the frame width, frame height, and then. So let me remove these steps. So we are done with this one. Okay. And after setting the frame, we have to set the frame as visible. Okay. So we are done with this code. Right. So let's save it, and then we execute this code. So now you can see that the button and the label has appeared. Fine. Just like
Yeah.
you can click, but nothing will happen because we have not added any code behind. Okay. Now the concept is clear. What you have to do?
Yeah.
First step, create the frame. Second step, create the components. Third step, add the components to the panel, and then set up the frame, right? And set the frame visible. Okay. So let
Yeah.
me write it down the steps. So the step number one. Here these steps are important in graphical user interface. No one explains this. So what I have to do first? Step number one. Step one. Step one is create JFrame object. JFrame object. Right?
Yeah.
This is the first step. Second step. Step two will be
Add the components.
create components. Create components. Components. Right? Step number three.
Add components to panel.
Right. Add components to the panel. To the panel. Right. Step
Yeah.
number four. Step
Then
number
add
four.
panel to JFrame.
Add panel to
JFrame.
JFrame frame. Right.
Yeah.
And step number five.
Set the like frame.
Set the frame size. Set the
Frame.
frame size. 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 And the last step, make the frame visible. Step number six. Right. Make the frame frame visible. Correct. So this is what you have to remember. This algorithm is very much important, right? This algorithm should be there in your head. Then you can easily design any kind of a graphical window, right? Just whenever you will get now this kind of question, all the people will become shaky in the college. I'm correct?
Yeah.
All the people are worried, shaky, searching through internet going on.
Yeah.
Fine, search through internet, copy the code, and then execute. If you have this kind of concept in your head, then you can easily create with your own. Fine.
Yeah.
So this is the basic conception regarding the graphical user interface. So very much fundamental concept. Fine.
Yeah.
So this code is executed. So let's copy this code out here, right? The example code. So let's copy it from here. The following code explains the above step of algorithm. Right?
Yeah.
So you have to remember this algorithm, and you need to practice it, right? You need to practice this algorithm, then there will be no problem, right? So let me mark it out. What is the step one and step two and step three, like that. So this is step number one. This is
Step number
one, right? This is creating components, right? Step number two. This is creating JPanel and adding the components to the panel. That is step number 3. Okay.
Yeah.
This is step number 4. Right. Adding the panel to the. This is step 4. This whole thing is from here. This is step number 5. And this is the step number 6. This is step 6. Fine. So this code is explaining to you all the steps. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. So the next concept is using inheritance to customize frames, right? So by using inheritance, we can customize frames. So let me show you that. Using inheritance to customize frames. Fine.
Yeah.
So as you add more user interface components to a frame, right, a frame can get quite complex, right? So your program will become easier to understand when you use inheritance for complex frames. Okay. So to do so, design a subclass of JFrame. Design a subclass of JFrame. Store the components as instance variable, right? Initialize them in the constructor of your subclass, right? And this approach makes it easy to add helper methods for organizing your code, right? So it is also a good idea to set the frame size in the frame constructor, right? And the frame usually has the better idea of preferred size than the program displaying it. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me write it down, all these whatever I've said. So store the components as instance variable, and number 3, what I have said, initialize them. Initialize them in the constructor, right, of your subclass, right? This is what I have said. And this approach makes it easier to help methods for organizing the code, right?
Yeah.
So these 3 steps. So the above approach makes it easy. The above approach makes it easy to add helper method for organizing. The above approach makes it easier to add helper method for organizing your code. Right. So it's a better approach, and it is also a good idea to set the frame size in the frame constructor, so the frame usually has better idea of the preferred size than the program displaying it, right? So the frame usually has a better idea of preferred size, because it contains a method set preferred size, right?
Yeah.
Better idea of the preferred size. Let me show you this how I'm going to do. Java class name is using inheritance, inheritance. Okay, let it be. And let's create the main method also. Finish. Okay. So using inheritance, and they are saying that I need to extend it, right? So using inheritance will be the subclass. Using inheritance will be the subclass of which class? Frame class. Extends JFrame. JFrame. Okay. So this is a subclass of JFrame class. Okay. Now the thing is this key instance variable will be the components, right? So let me write it here. Using instance variable for components. Okay. So let me declare here private j button button. Okay. Then private j label. Okay. I'm writing the same program but in this fashion. Now I will declare one private static private static final int frame width is equal to 300 and private height frame height equal to, so that's 400. Now we can write down the constructor here. So we write down the constructor here. The name of the constructor will be public. So generate using inheritance, because I don't want to complicate this. Generate constructor, and from this constructor now I call a few method, right? Means I will write one helper method like create components. So private void create. So in this method what I will do, I will create component like button equal to new j button right? So I've created button. Now I will write here say button, or I can write here click me. Okay, so I have written this. Then label label. You can write here new j label, and in the label you pass. Sorry. So in the j label you pass. This is the label which I have created, and then I have to create what j panel, right? So j panel panel equal to new j panel. So I've created the panel. Now what I have to do, I have to add. So I have to write add panel dot add component. So I will add here. First I will add button, right? Then I will add the label, right? So I will write here panel dot add label. So it's done. Then what I have to do, I have to add the panel into frame, right? And JFrame is inherited over here, right? So I can call the method directly. So I can just write add, right? And I write here panel. Okay. Here I write as JFrame is inherited in this class, this class, right? So I can call it directly. Okay. So I've created a create component. So I can call the create component method from here. Fine. CREATE component, create components, right? And then I can set the size, right? So set size, set size. See, it's directly available here. So width is frame width and the height is frame height, right? So this is what I have said, right? So first use the helper method, use the helper method, use the helper method, and then what you have to do, it is good idea to set the frame size, right? So it is good idea to set the size in frame, set the size in the frame constructor, the frame constructor. Okay. So we have done this. Okay. Now we can write down the in the main method we create the object of this class, right? We can write this method in another class also, but we can write it over here also because I don't want to complicate. So let me write it here, jframe. Okay, frame equal to new. So what is the name of our class? Using, right? Using inheritance. Okay. So frame will be created. Now you can write here frame dot, right? Set title. First job is setting the title over here, right? So set the title, a frame with two components, a frame with two components, frame with two components, right? And then you can write it down, frame dot set default on close operation. Then here you can write jframe dot exit on close, right? So you can write this, and after this, the fifth step, frame dot set visible, frame dot set visible. So here we have to select true, right? So this is the best way of writing the code, right? So generally what student does, okay, they write this kind of code in main function, right? And if you have to complicate this thing, means say you have to design a complicated GUI, then you are in trouble, right? So there are other methods of doing this thing also, right? I will show you one by one. Okay, just a minute. I'm changing the name of this class. Okay, I will change. I will take care of from the next time. Right. So let me execute this once. So run as Java. It's executing the program. So the button is click me and the label is do click the button. Right? So you can click the button. Nothing will happen. So I think I'm able to make you understand how to design this, right? Okay. So next day I will teach you events and event handling. When you click the button, what will happen, right? So how to do that.